It is my pleasure to introduce Junaid Alam, who is a technology architect at Cognizant. Junaid has more than 17 years of experience in the computer science and IT ecosystem. He has worked with various technologies like web applications, mobile applications, Internet of Things, game development, as well as business process manager and workflow design and various other technologies. He has also, apart from Cognizant, worked in Tata Interactive Systems, IBM, Ericsson in the past. So Junaid actually started in the field of electronics, specializing in microprocessor-based systems before he moved to information technology sphere. So I'm really looking forward to hearing Junaid in this talk. Again, to all the mentees and students here, it is very important for you to be as interactive as possible. So please make sure that if you have a question, just use the chat and type it, and then we will try to manage the questions and see if you can yourselves ask the question, and then Junaid would be able to answer it. Junaid has also kindly agreed to take questions even during the talk, so we will leave that to Junaid in terms of how he manages it. So with that, Junaid, over to you. As I said, again, I'm looking forward to hearing you.
Jazakallah khair, Professor Asim. That was a very nice introduction and very kind. Thanks for your kind words. And thanks to all our mentees and my peer mentors for taking out your valuable time for this session. And I hope this session provides fruitful to you. Okay, so with that, let me start my presentation. So if you can confirm me once you are able to see my screen.
Yes,
Yeah,
we can.
Thanks for the confirmation. Okay, so let me start the slide. Let me start not from the Google Docs, because I can save some, so the net is faster. So I've taken it offline, and let me start from here only. Yeah. Okay. So the scope of this session, as we already know, is like how to go about.
Junaid, 1 second, sorry, if you don't mind.
Sure.
We see both your notes as well as your session, so maybe you need to manage the slideshow so that we don't see the notes.
Oh, okay, just a sec.
So it has to be in the presenter mode so that we don't see the notes.
Okay, let me check. Okay, let me start the slide again. Actually, 2 slides were open.
Yeah, that's why.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So one was from the Google Doc, actually. Sorry for that. Okay.
No problem. No, again, the same problem. I think what you need to do is...
So just a sec, let me, yeah. So as the scope of this session is career information technology. So as we know that whenever a student or a fresh graduate, like when they are entering this field of information technology or software technology, so things get at times very confusing. Okay, they get overwhelmed at times. Like today, information technology is very much different from what it was during our time when we started it. Okay, so the context, like the scope of this session is to actually give you some idea about this information technology area, how recruitment process goes on, how it is segmented, etc. And what are the different types of organization, what are the different types of IT organizations, and how to go about it. Okay. So anyway, I'll skipping this because we have already given this introduction. So some of my works in the past, there are lots many, but we just wanted to mention, like there was one in 2002. There was one work like when I started my career as a games developer. So I used to develop games for kids. So there was one product called Tiger the Tiger, which was a big hit in US at that point of time. So there lots of mathematical equations were used, as you see the bubbles like Bezier curve equations, and their vector resolution of vector components and all these stuffs were used. And another one that recently, one of my favorite tasks which I have done personally, it is not through any organization, was like I had developed one quiz app, Quran quiz app, where this was for those people who are doing hifz in Quran and they want to practice like to identify the verses. So it is there in the Play Store, and a few more apps were there already. Anyway, now coming to what is information technology. So these are the different definitions from Webster and Wikipedia. Okay, so you get the like different definitions for information technology, but it's like basically we see it is just like when you have data, there's a difference between data and information, right? So data may not be information unless it is presented in a meaningful form. So basically what IT does is just present you the data in a meaningful form. Now to present this in meaningful form nowadays, there are lots of options. It's very complicated. Like than it used to be in the older days. It was just like fetching data from the database and just showing it. That was all. So we'll see to it. Okay. Now IT segments, these are not all. This is not an exhaustive list. Like you see that some of the basic segments that when you enter into an IT organization, you hear about communications, support, hardware segments, okay, internet, servers, networking, database, software design. So these are terms you hear about. So now let's start. Let's first see the industry domains. It is important for us to first understand the industry domains, because IT as a single standalone system cannot survive, right? It is dependent on different industries, other industries. It actually makes products or provides services for different industries. And that industry is like almost every industry you can say as of today. So first, let's understand what are the industry domains. So again, this is not an exhaustive list, but some of the important industry domains, I have listed it down here. We have e-commerce, we have manufacturing domains, we have logistics, healthcare, travel and hospitality, education, life science, media and entertainment, banking and finance, etc. Okay, so in many organizations, you'll see the organization structure is such that they call it as verticals. Okay, it's not that this holds true for all the organizations, but in most of the IT organizations, if you go, they are horizontals, they are verticals, right? So horizontals are basically the technology services in some organization. Like say they are only giving support for UIs. I'm talking about the big organizations, and there are verticals. Okay, verticals is like e-commerce verticals or manufacturing. In some organization, you'll see manufacturing and logistics are combined, called Manlog. Okay, so if any projects for Manlog comes, so it will go to this vertical, and then this vertical will look out for which is the specialized BU or business unit, which is the horizontal that they can give it to. And those BU will pull in all these resources, I mean developers, testers, business analysts. So these are the different roles we have. So I'll come to that later on. What are the different roles in IT? So, and that is how they rope in those people, different BUs, and that is how it works. Okay. So we see that, like, if we take the example of e-commerce, we have Flipkart, Amazon, okay, etc. Many others. Manufacturing, we have, say, automobile manufacturing company. It can be like, one can be Cummins, okay, which generates, sorry, which manufactures engines, okay, and then logistics. Healthcare, we know, like it is like it is the industry which is like a very important one actually. In fact, healthcare and banking and finance is one of the biggest industries which actually provides lots of revenue to the IT companies, and it can be a different industry also. Like media and entertainment, we see that now OTT platforms are there, like Netflix, Amazon's. Okay, before that also these gaming companies, they also come in media and entertainment, right? So first you have to understand, like, okay, these are the different domains, industry domains. They have got certain business requirements which needs to move to IT implementations, and that is how the IT businesses are running, right? They are dependent on these different domains, industry domains. Okay. So now I know it's too early, but one quick question for you. Can you give me example of? You can write it in the chat box, no problem. 2 minutes time you have. IT implementation of any two industries that you know of. So all these industry domains, like e-commerce, I have already mentioned. So you can pick any two industry. And can you tell me any of the applications, name of any applications? Like, let me check your awareness, like how much aware you are about the different industry domains and what kind of IT solutions they're implementing. Okay. You can paste it in the chat. So don't worry whether it is a correct guess or it is not correct, but try to paste it in the chat. Okay. Yeah, I can see reactions, responses coming. Yeah, that's correct. Ola, Uber. So now, yes, in the travels, correct. Trivago, Paytm, very good, very good. Excellent, excellent. Yeah. So fine. Now, so you can keep pasting on the chat. So yeah, excellent. Correct. Alibaba.com, MedLife, and anything else in entertainment? Sorry, media and entertainment. Or you can see like on the slides, I've got different. Any example from banking and finance? Like yeah, correct. Yono SBI, Paytm, PhonePe. Okay, somebody has already mentioned Paytm, Amazon Pay. Okay, excellent, excellent. That was a good start. Thank you. Okay, so now moving on to the next slide. Okay, now before you choose, what industry domain, what kind of organization you need to go to, or see, you have got different companies, right? But do you know that these companies actually fall into different categories? So let me come to the next slide. Okay, now whatever company we have around us, whatever you know of, so they mostly fall into either of these three categories. Okay, so one is product company. I'll explain you each of them. Another is service type, services or consultancy, and third one is in-house IT departments. When we say product company, so they are actually create their own products generally. Okay, and their end customer can be anyone. Like for example, Adobe is the one, Google, Facebook, Amazon, Netflix. Now I have mentioned IBM here also, but IBM will fall in both the categories as services and consultancy also, and product also, because there are some giant companies which have got both these departments. They have got product as well as consultancy or services, right? And in services and consultancies, we have the examples like TCS, Cognizant, IBM, Capgemini, Accenture, etc. Okay. And then third category is in-house IT departments. They are not an IT company. Okay, they are not an IT companies like HSBC Bank. They have their own department that takes care of all the IT implementations. They can in turn hire any consultancy. They can take help of any consultancy, because it will always not be in scope for them to implement a very big solutions or enhancements using their resource, because the number of resources are very few. IT resources are very few compared with services and product company. So they have to rope in. They have to provide this contract to either services or consultancy, or sometimes they have to rope in the product company as well. Like if they are using some kind of Google Analytics, or they want to integrate with Facebook. Okay, so at times it may be like, they can reach out to Facebook or Google, okay, for the support. So this is how in-house IT department works. Okay, so pay wise, don't quote me on that, but pay wise, general observation is like in product company, you get the highest pay. And even in in-house IT department, depending on the kind of organization you're going for. Services and consultancy comes the next. The pay is good in services and consultancy also. I'm not saying it's the pay scale is not that good, but yes, product company, the pay scale is the best as compared with services and consultancy. But again, it depends from company to company basis. So these are the names of the big giants that I have mentioned. But in addition to that, there are hundreds of product companies, okay, in different locations. Like if we talk about India, like in Bangalore, in Pune, and I think second best according to me, I don't know like what the stat says as of now, is Hyderabad. After Bangalore, I think Hyderabad is the one of the best location for product company, where you can find more product companies. I mean the mid-sized companies, like even Google has got its center in Hyderabad and Bangalore, etc. Okay. Now, what are the pros and cons? As I mentioned, one pros is like in product company, you will get better pay, so means a more higher pay scale. But people who are aspiring for on-site assignments, right? If you want to go from, so this I am talking in context of India only. Like if you have aspirations for on-site, so in product company, you will get less chances for that. Only you may have some few visits, business visits or something like that. But it's not that it is not there. But in services and consultancy, you have more options for that, to go on site, take an on-site assignment and go to abroad and work in some different regions, some different geographies. Okay. And in-house IT department nature is more or less like a product company, but with slight variations. Okay. So even if you have some queries in between, you can paste it on chat. It's not that when I come to the QA block, then only you need to put down your queries. Okay, so I hope this is clear, the difference between product companies, services and consultancy in in-house department, IT department. Now, we need to understand what are the different modes of employment in IT. Okay, so sorry to just ask one quick question. Like in one of the screen, I am using two screen. I see that next slide is also being shown. So is it the same for you all as well? Or you are able to see it, view it properly?
We can view it properly, actually.
Okay, thanks for the confirmation. Okay, so different modes of employment in IT. This is very, very important for you to understand, because lots of time it happens that, unfortunately, some of the bright students also are not able to get into the, some on-campus recruitment. So they need to understand that is on-campus the only thing? If I don't miss out the on-campus, what can be the other options? I've seen people, going into depression at times, and they have even changed the field. So let's come to this slide. Okay. Now see, these are the different types of employment. You have got full-time employment. You have got part-time employment. Okay, freelancing I'll come to later. Let's first concentrate on the left-hand side of the left part of the slide. So in full-time convert, this is the most preferred type of job, at least for India. But if you go abroad, you'll find many people who work very happily on contractual basis. But in India, if you get an offer on contract, you are not happy actually. So there is a reason, there is a genuine reason why many candidates are not happy and they don't prefer to go for contractual. The reason is that some organization will not consider your contractual employment as a full-time employment. Which should not be the case, but unfortunately, it is the case in not in all the organization, but some organization do not give it an equal weightage as a full-time employee or some employee on a permanent payroll of the organization. So, but that doesn't mean you should leave out contractual. At times you get a very good opportunity in contractual employment, like your aspiration, it meets your aspiration. Like suppose you want to, you are aspiring for data science. And on one hand, you are getting some different technology as a full-time, which you don't aspire for, but in contractual mode, you are getting data science. So now it's your call. Like if you think that, you give weightage to what you aspire most, okay, then you can go for contractual. I'm not saying that contractual should be totally avoided. Yeah, in fact, it should not be avoided. That's my personal opinion. But yeah, the fact remains that some organization may not give you that weightage as they give to the full-time, but not all. And now there is another mode called C2H, or contract to hire, where you can join on contract, and after that you can move on a permanent payroll of that organization. So there are some complexities involved at times, like like there are some third-party payroll. If you are on third-party payroll, then it becomes a little bit difficult. They have to negotiate with the organization which will hire you on a permanent payroll. So that is there. But yeah, you can either go for contractual or full-time, no problem. But some organization will consider contractual full-time and permanent payroll full-time as equal. So not a problem. So you need to check on that if that is the case. Next comes your part-time. Okay, in part-time, yes, of course, part-time will not be considered as a full experience, but it will be considered as a part experience. Okay, but part-time job also do exist. Like many times, people want to do higher studies, and at the same time they want to earn something or want to brush up. They keep their skills, in line with the technologies and trends that's going on. They want to work. So part-time is one of the option. Okay, but again, in part-time, they will hire you mostly like you have got some experience. That is one of the observations I've seen. Now, next comes your freelancing. Now, let's come to the right-hand side. Freelancing. Freelancing is not at all counted as experience by many companies. Many companies, in fact, I'll say. They will not count it as experience. And another issue you will have is like, when later on you are applying for some kind of H-1B visa or this US visa, suppose if somebody doesn't has a engineering degree in the related field like IT field or computer science field, then definitely you need to show some experience, right? So at that point of time, remember this thing that freelance will not count, okay? But freelancing, I've seen many people who actually went for freelancing. So don't go for freelancing directly, even if you aspire to do freelancing, because there are people who make a good amount of earnings from freelancing than the people who are doing regular full-time. So they are not aspiring for any other thing. For them, freelancing is fine. And for ages, they have been doing freelancing. They have just worked in some companies full-time in the past. Okay, so you can go to freelancing if you want to go only after gaining some experience. That will be helpful, but don't step into freelancing right away as a fresher. Okay, and then the last option is, and this is I think a very good option if you are an entrepreneur or if you have got that kind of mindset and very innovative in your thoughts, then go for own startup. And even for a startup, whatever you see on the right hand side, I think go for it only after gaining some experience. At least a 2 years experience, 3 years experience, then you will understand the process, methodologies, what kind of clients you work for, how you communicate with the clients. So these all things are important. Okay. So hope this makes sense. Okay. Now coming to the IT recruitment part. Now again, this is in context of India location. Okay, as I mentioned, there are different modes of recruitments, right? On campus hire you have. So we know that not all colleges have this facility of on-campus. Many companies do not. So many colleges do not have companies coming in for on-campus hire. Then, if you miss on-campus hire somehow for any reason, maybe you applied for on-campus and unfortunately couldn't get into it. Okay, or you don't have any kind of on-campus. Any companies coming into your campus. So next option can be off-campus hire. Now, for off-campus hire. The best thing is keep in touch with the professionals on LinkedIn and keep contacts, WhatsApp group, join WhatsApp group if you know of. They will broadcast you about off-campus. Like, okay, this company now is having an off-campus drive. So that way you can get the information. And I believe that
Junaid bhai, you have to unmute yourself. Hello.
Hello, Junaid sir, you have to unmute yourselves. Let me try to call him on.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yeah, we can.
Yes, we can.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Sorry for all the disturbances caused, because actually I'm using Google Meet a lot. So I'm sorry for this inconvenience. I think some shortcut key got pressed. Okay. Okay, so you are able to hear me.
Yes, we can hear you. But
Yeah, but
we can
the
see
slide,
still two sides.
Yeah.
so we need to go to display settings and please again do the same thing.
Yeah, sure. Give me a moment. I'll do that. Okay, sorry. Okay. So off-campus hire, as I mentioned, you have to keep in touch with the connections. Okay, and you have to be ready with your MCAT score. And there are different platforms also where you can get your scores. And you have to check like till when is that applicable. And analyze the conventional won't be the correct word because now that no longer is conventional. At my time, it was a conventional way. So like it is like, suppose you miss out on campus and off campus as well. So no worries. Like you go and search for some other mid-sized company or small-sized company and try to get into it rather than waiting for some big opportunity to come in, because you'll be that way you won't have any career gap, right? Because career gap also matters. So that is one of the way. And other kind of hire is after you have experience, that is the lateral hire. So lateral hire is for those people who are experienced and they are not an on-campus recruit. So that is called lateral hire. Okay. Now coming to IT technologies. So when it comes to IT technologies, we are overwhelmed, right? So we come to know of web applications, we come to know of mobile applications, IoT, cloud computing. And if you see gray circle, that means there are lots more. This is what I mean by gray circle out here, right? CRM, BPM, cybersecurity, where to go for, okay? So there are plethora of technologies, right? And again, you hear about many tools like Hadoop, Cassandra, and SAP, and lots many. So now, in this slide, you see that I have divided into a few categories. These are not the exhaustive list, as I mentioned. Now, you may be wondering why I've taken this set of technologies. So I'll come to it. So core programming language, if you divide some of these technologies, so first if you divide core programming languages, C, C++, Java, Python, Golang, also known as Go. Okay, then scripting languages we have. So these are the ones, and this all depends. Like as of today, as we know that IT technologies keep on changing, there are lots of changes that keeps happening. So this will not be relevant if I talk about it, say 4 years or 5 years down the line. But for today, it is better if if we talk about core programming languages, try to master any one at least. What you see in the slide: C++, Java, Python, Golang. So I'll tell you why. I'll come to in future slide. I'll talk about it. Like why, no matter which technology you are going, but if you're targeting some product company like Google or say Facebook, etc., or Amazon, so at least try to master one programming language or scripting language. In fact, not all are programming language when I talk about JavaScript. Okay, now programming and scripting languages we have for mobile apps are Java, Kotlin for native Android apps, and Objective-C or Swift for iPhone apps. And libraries and frameworks for multi-platform mobile apps, which is the most popular. This is not an exhaustive list, as I keep iterating upon that. There are lots more, but the one which are like most widely used in the market today is Angular Ionic, React Native, and Xamarin. Xamarin is from Microsoft. Okay. So these are the most popular. With this, you can create means with one code base, you can build mobile app for multiple platforms, both for Android and iOS. And the one you see on the top are native development. If you use Java or Kotlin, you can create an app native for Android apps only. It will not run on iPhone. And if you create an app for iPhone, you have to use Objective-C and Swift, and that will run only on iPhone. But if you need some application where you don't want to spend much effort for developing for individual platform like iPhone and Android, then go for multi-platform mobile apps, Angular Ionic, React Native, Xamarin. Now the question will come to you, then why should I learn Java, Kotlin, or Objective-C or Swift? If I have to do this, why not I straight away learn React Native? Because that way I can build for both the platforms, right? So the answer is like, it is not that the upper Java, Kotlin, or Objective-C, the technologies that you see on the upper part of the screen is replaced by React Native. No, it depends on the requirement. Like if you're doing games development, where performance has to be very, very much deadline oriented, time oriented, it has to be fast, then you have to go for native application development. You cannot use React Native and Xamarin. But if it is some kind of, say, strategy game where it is not an arcade game, right? there's not much movement, or first level shooter or second level shooter type of game, then you can go for React Native. It is just like click and go to other menu, like some kind of app you have, simple app, then you can go for React Native. Okay, and this reduces your development cost. Then markup language and style sheets you have to learn, like HTML. XML is fine. XML or JSON is the data structure of today and for interoperability of the data. But since it is not in the scope of our session to go deep down into technology, so I'm skipping that. And CSS for styling your web application. So if you choose, see, the easiest way to get into IT is today is like if you want to go freelance, or if you want, if you have been left out, not got not got recruited through online or offline, then the easiest way to get into is UI and mobile technologies. This will always help you, but this doesn't mean that I am like suggesting you to go for it. No, you go for what you have aspired. This is just, I'm telling you the scenario, like these are the technologies which helps in getting, suppose if you're left behind, you didn't get into data science or this, but this doesn't mean that if you go into UI or mobile app, you cannot switch to other technologies. Okay, so you can switch into other technologies also, and always there a change will be required. Once you get into a company, today you're working on one technology, tomorrow you may be asked to work on other technologies. So you always have to be ready to be flexible and adapt the change. Okay, now, so there are some tools which you can learn, like Jira, Bitbucket, GitHub, okay, IBM ClearCase. So don't worry if it doesn't make sense to you right now. Some of you may have read about it. Some automation tools are there, okay, like UiPath, Blue Prism. These are actually RPA tools. I'll not call it only, there are lots of other automation tools as well. So these tools I have listed down is specifically an RPA tool, robotic process automation. Okay, so we have got build tools like Ant, Maven, Gradle. So what I'm trying to tell you is what technology to pick as a fresher. So I'll come to it next. So first I'm giving you a feel of how many technologies are there. So I've just categorized it for you to understand, so that you can pick up this correct set of technologies as per your aspirations. So Eclipse, like IDs, we have Eclipse, IntelliJ, Visual Studio Code. So those of you like who have worked with some kind of IDs, so it would be good to see your favorite IDs. You can paste it in the chat box meanwhile. Okay, then we come to DevOps tool. Docker, Jenkins are just two of the components which these are the containers actually in the build for DevOps tools. So I'll come to it later on. And then for data science, we are using all these Jupyter Notebook, NumPy, SciPy, Pandas, Scikit-learn. So I'll come to it later. Now, so though this is not very much important at the moment, but still I put this slide because in my general speeches and general talks, I do put it just to give like how it evolved or how IT evolved actually. So a very quick walkthrough. So in the olden days, like if you see, like these are systems, there used to be standalone system. We had program, we have data. So each system was individual, right? So if you have to update some data, suppose this is the employees database we have. So every system you have to go to and update it, right? So orange one is the program, and the blue cylinder is the data, and yellow one is the system, right? So later on, this was improvised by moving the data to a centralized database server. Okay, so now if any kind of database updation happens, then you don't need to update it for everyone because now the server is centralized, right? So this way it evolved into a centralized database system. Now the issue again was like if there is some updation in the application, then again it was like redundant. You have to go to, it was repetitive, I mean, like you have to go to different systems and ask them to upgrade their application. So then later came a totally centralized server in which even application can be put in on the network, right? So now this is a totally dummy workstations you have right now. So you can have applications and data both on the server. So this saves you the effort of inconsistency, right? So now why I'm talking about this, which is a thing of the past, just to give you an idea how it evolved and why we have plethora of technologies now. So then we come, like if you remember in the previous session, Najib Saab already talked to you about the NTR architecture. So if you remember that. So initially we had two-tier architecture, only is client and server, okay? So client would send a request and server would get a response. Later on, it became a three-tier architecture where even the database, because on the server you used to have database, you used to have server-side code, everything on one place. Later on, they even put the database server separate, and it can be in a separate geography altogether if required. So this became a 3-tier architecture. This is just a rough idea. Okay. Now this can be divided into client. We call it client, server. Okay. Then this client part is what is called front-end developer. Like when you see, when a opening comes up, front-end developer, basically they are talking about the client-side development, like web browser side, whatever you run in your web browser or your mobile phone, that is actually the client-side development, right? That is the client. And server-side development, like say you have JSP, Servlet, Java, PHP, Ruby on Rails. Now Ruby on Rails, when I talk about it, it is a kind of web application framework, or Python Django. So I'll come to it. So then on the database side, now there are people who work on the back end. So now this got categorized, right? Initially, one person used to do everything. Now you have got scope for 3 different type of developers: front end, service layer, and back end developers. So generally people talk back end when they mention Java or PHP, but technically that is not correct. That is not back end. That is actually the service layer, right? So for back end, you need MySQL, PostgreSQL, you need to be good in SQL queries. So then you can go for a database admin job, or whatever is related to your data and database. Now, if you see for a front-end UI developer, I have listed down what are the technologies you need to pick up. If you are aspiring for front-end UI developer, you have to learn HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript. First thing, these top 3 you have to learn. Okay, then only you try to move to Angular or React. Don't learn both. Okay, and I have seen many times people are not learning JavaScript. They are just directly going to React.js or Angular. Now, maybe you can still get a job by learning this, but your concept will never be, deep down clear, because Angular, React.js, and whatever framework you hear of, like in the past we had jQuery, Dojo, EXT.js, they are all built on top of JavaScript only. So Angular and React are built on top of JavaScript only. So whatever JavaScript limitation it has, same is the limitation for AngularJS. So Angular and React.js cannot do something which JavaScript cannot do. Okay, it only makes your task easy, your application design easy, right? It does a lot of things for you. It gives you lots of APIs. Okay, so like Angular, it's like a React.js is a library, Angular is a framework. Okay, Node.js I've included in front end, but Node.js is actually used for server side. In front end, only use a part of Node.js, that is the NPM tool, Node Package Manager. So anyway, just for this, I'm giving you the name, not going deep down into it. As I mentioned, we won't be going deep into technology. Okay, on server side developer, you can pick up either JSP Servlet, the Java technologies you can pick up, like JSP Servlet, Java Spring, or Spring Boot. Then you have got Spring MVC also. Okay, that is actually comes in Web Application Framework. I'll tell you what is Web Application Framework. Then you have Cold Fusion, Ruby on Rails. Okay, that also you can do server-side development with that as well. So now Web Application Framework will actually handle both. You have got front-end layer also, which it will inject, and bash service layer also. So that is why it is called Web Application Frameworks. But at times we may need Angular and React.js totally for UI layer, and server-side for server-side development or service-side development, you need these technologies. So here my suggestion would be that for front end, I've already told you HTML5, CSS3, JavaScript, and you learn either Angular or React, one at a time. Don't try to learn both.
Junaid, if you sorry for interrupting, Junaid.
Yeah, sure.
Both this slide as well as the previous one had a lot of information that is valuable to the students, and it is quite possible that they have some questions on these.
Okay.
So if we can take some questions, it could
yes, sure. That is really a good idea. Yes,
right,
sure.
Because I mean, certainly they are a lot more knowledgeable than I am on these things, but I'm sure they have questions. So if you can just type your questions or raise your hand, we will try to take these questions on the class.
Yes, also, yeah, thanks for that, Prof. Sensor. That's a good suggestion. Yes, please go ahead. You can even speak out your question also. I think that will be even more easier to resolve also. Or you can type in also, as you wish.
Any questions? You can type your questions if you want.
Some questions are typed.
Yes, I think some questions are typed on the chat. So yeah, let me have a look at this. I'll take a pause and just look at this. Okay, yeah, we have got some good questions out here. Okay, somebody already mentioned their VS Code is their favorite editor. Good. Okay, Anaconda for Python. Okay, are the AI, the question which I've got is, are the AI and ML algorithm processed at backend? Okay, it depends actually. I'll come to it. I have got some information regarding AI and ML. Yes, some part does gets processed at backend as well, and there is a REST API service call which gets hit. So I'll come to that. So yeah, for now the answer is yes. You can have it when you're doing the development. You can do the development at your ID on your side, but when you can host it at the server side. If you should not mention backend, but at the server, yeah. So from there you can hit some REST API or other kind of interface and get the result. Yeah. Okay. Another question is, I'm currently in 3rd year of my BTech. Should I take the AWS certification exam? Okay. For AWS certification exam, I'll say that, see, one thing is there for AWS, definitely you have to give some dedicated time to prepare for it. There are different levels. So if you want, you can take the basic level, but make sure that if you are in 3rd year, right? So 2 years more to go before you take up a job. And the certificate has got some expiration date, right? So try to see that, like if that helps you, because maybe like that certificate will not be valid after you come out of your college and go for employment. So I think try to wait a little more and try to take at a time when it will really benefit you. It will still be valid when you are going for a job. Okay, what is the future? Sorry, there are lots of questions. I got scrolled up. What is the future of cloud in IT industry? Yes, I'll come to that. It has got a good future, and why? I'll come to it in the future slide. Okay, people say frameworks are not required for freshers. Please clarify. Okay, this is not a valid statement that frameworks are actually we should not be making a statement like frameworks are required for freshers or not. It all depends. First, it depends like what domain you want to go to. I mean, what technology you want to go to. Like you want to go for UI. So for example, if you want to go for UI, then definitely I'll say libraries or framework is important for you. Because as I mentioned in this slide, HTML, CSS, JavaScript is the core you will learn. And when you come, you have to learn either Angular or React. And trust me, it is so much in demand that my company is hiring so many people and they're short of people. So Angular is a framework and React.js is a library. So in this case, yes, framework will be important for you. But if we talk about some different kind of frameworks, right, which only, that also I'll come to later on, like some other technologies, right? So like some IBM BPM and all these things, they have got some of their own custom framework. Then as a fresher, you'll never get a job, okay? Exception scenario can be there. So you have to choose what framework we are talking over here, right? So I hope that answers your question. What about security compliance? I'll come to it. Are there any useful certification for MI and ML and AI? See, I don't know if official certification is there, and to be honest, I'm very less knowledgeable about certifications on MI, ML and AI. But yeah, I've seen some Microsoft giving certification. I don't know how much valid it is. But if any other mentor, my peer mentor, can help me out in this question, I'd appreciate it. Because I only know some study, but I don't know any official certification which is officially, you know, valuable across different organizations. So I'm not actually aware of that, but yes, certifications are there by different vendors. Like if you do Azure Cloud, you know, they have got some kind of certifications specific to ML, machine learning and AI. I believe Amazon also gives. Okay, so that we can take these vendor certifications. So that would be helpful, but I don't know if there are any other useful certifications as such, but these are the certifications which I know of. Otherwise, you can get in touch with OS by. I think he can help you more on that. Okay, and yeah, sir, how many minimum languages on server side do we require to get into the industry for a full stack developer? That's a very good question, and I'm glad you asked this question. Yes, because when it comes to full stack, and this was the part of the speech I was going to give on this particular slide. So when you come to now, full stack is like very tricky. Okay, when you go to one company as a full stack developer, their requirement is something different. When you go to company XYZ, their requirement is different, right? So I will say that for full stack, see, there are lots of stack that comes in full stack. Like when I worked as a full stack in one of the previous projects, it was UI layer, it was middleware, it was server side, it was even database design. Okay, and it was even security also they were expecting from me. So, but generally full stack means a good amount of knowledge on front end layer and some good amount of knowledge on the service side layer. So front end layer, I will suggest go for either Angular or React. These two are the most popular. In fact, React scores a bit higher as of today. And on the server side, you have to choose whether you want to, you have got options. you want to go for Java technology or .NET technology. In addition, you have got PHP also, you have got Cold Fusion also, you have got many things like Ruby on Rails, you can even go for Django, but the best I'll say, either choose Java or .NET in the beginning. Later on, you can go switch to any other technology you like. So if you have got Java Spring Boot and just learn how to create REST services, don't go deep down. That is enough to get your job as a full stack. Okay. So either Java, or if you have interest on the Microsoft side technology, go for .NET. So I think this bare minimum will actually help you, and little bit of SQL query and how we manipulate the data on the SQL query using SQL query. Okay, all the read and write and fetch the database, so that will help you. Yeah. So I think
there's another question, Junaid.
Yeah, please straight to the slide. What about security compliance? Yeah, security compliance, I'll come to it. Security definitely is a concern, but security as a developer or security as a actual security analyst are two different things. Okay. As a developer, you have to see there are no loopholes in your code, right? There will be pen testing called penetration testing. There will be lots of regressions. There will be, kind of testing for SQL injection attack. Okay, that I'll come to in one of the feature slide if you don't run out of time. So I'll come to that slide. So as a developer, you have to be concerned with that kind of security. The security related to your code and your deployment, that's it. But there are other special security compliance officers or a cybersecurity, architects who have to take care that no hacking takes place. Okay. Nobody should be able to hack into your Wi-Fi system, into your network, like using Kali Linux, and there are lots of tools, NGR crack tool, which you can actually crack into someone's system. Now, again, as a developer, if you're a web page developer, you have to see that your sessions, your cookies, like you don't send put important information in your cookies, because cookies sent with each server request. Okay, so keep it in some other secured form. So there is a difference when you talk about security compliance. If you're a developer or you are a security officer or a cybersecurity,
There's another interesting question, Junaid. Some companies list both React and Angular in the requirements, but you said choose between them. So how do you answer that? Yeah,
that's a very good question. And this is the concern which I am nowadays handling also, like to some of the people whom I'm guiding right now. And I'm glad you brought up this question. Yes, the problem there is some internal, how the internal process works. The issue lies over there, right? It's not the issue in the requirement. So what happens is like somebody writes that, okay, like some people are at the management level, because they don't have time to go deep down to technology, understand like, whether Angular is required or React is required. They don't even need to know what is Angular and what is React, to be honest, because they are managing at a higher level. Okay, so they take, some kind of suggestions. They've sent out this requirement. Some people are mentioning React, some are mentioning Angular, and people actually get biased when they are suggesting this technology. They get biased, like they are mostly technical people. So people who are good in Angular, they mention Angular, and there can be a lot of factor also. This is just one specific instance I'm mentioning. So what happens is both of this comes, and now when it comes to the HR guys, so they don't know much about this technology, and in fact they do not need to know also, right? So they just take it and put these two together. Actually, they are supposed to put either Angular or React, or Angular as a deep down into Angular and some knowledge of React, or you have got good hold on command on React and some knowledge of Angular. This is a valid requirement, but it is very, very rare for a fresher to have knowledge on both. This is very difficult because both are complicated framework. So if any such requirement comes up, my suggestion will be that if you are good in any one, just mention that. Okay, and you just have some overview of the other. If you are good in Angular, have some overview of React and mention it. And during the interview time, mention it. And I'm sure that 90% of the time you will get selected. Like because when you have a conversation with the technical people, they will understand that is not possible. We do it. Like we also get a requirement good in Angular and React, but we try to see whether they are good in any one and have a slight knowledge of the other. So I know this is an issue, but yeah, that is how you can resolve it. So go for one only. Nobody will ask you to be good in both. That is a vague requirement actually for a fresher. Hope that answers the question.
Yeah, in fact, actually, Sajjad also mentioned that sometimes companies put both because they have clients. Different clients might require different technologies, but obviously, focusing on one is the best thing for a fresher. So,
correct.
Then there is something about doc type. What is a doc type HTML, and what is, is DevOps good for freshers? Some of these questions you may be planning to answer later on, so I will leave it to you if you want
Yeah,
to.
sure.
Doc
Doc type actually is not in the context of session because it's more of a technical thing. Like you need to understand what is HTML. But yes, it is a document type. Like previous version of HTMLs, they used to have different kind of doc type, like frames, transitionals in the olden days. Now there is only one doc type, which is the specification of HTML5. So I think you need not worry about doc type now. Even if you are not mentioning doc type, your modern browser will take it as HTML5. Okay, so this is not much of a concern as of today, unless you are working in some legacy applications which uses a old doc type. Okay, so this is a DTD definitions provided in the XML format. So that is what doc type refers to actually. But this is more of a technical question. So we'll keep it for some kind of technical session, or you can actually ping me if it is really very important for you. Ping me personally also, and I can take time to explain you this. I'll be more than happy to explain this. Yeah. Okay, is DevOps good for fresher? Yes, good. DevOps is very good, but as a fresher, you may have some challenge. I'll come to you in a future slide. Okay, what are the mitigation taken to solve such attacks? For example, DOS attacks, etc. That's a good question, but I'll come to it when I'm in the ethical hacking slide. Okay, conceptual knowledge of DevOps is valuable. Okay, that's a very good response by Muslim Saab. Yes, I totally agree, 100% agree. This is a very good suggestion given. Okay. Can Flutter be a successful technology in the future for multi-platform different? Can I only stick to it without learning a core technologies? Okay, now Flutter again is a mobile application for mobile application multi-platform. So it is right now, yes, used in most of the requirements, most of the scenarios. But how much successful it will continue as a successful framework in future is difficult to predict, because we never know. Because suddenly one fine day, some other tools and frameworks come and we switch to that. So that will be very difficult to predict actually. But yes, as of now, Flutter is there, React Native is there. So they are different. Xamarin is there. Yeah. Okay. So some of the questions I know we have not been able to answer and we are waiting for future slide. So I think it will be good because I've got lots of slide as well. So is it okay if we can proceed?
Please go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, so I hope this slide is clear, like how to choose technologies. Like I have listed down so many technologies, but you don't have to learn the total technologies, right, in one go. As a fresher, I'm talking in terms of, in the context of fresher only. Whatever I'm talking in context of freshers only, right? So, but for experienced people, it is different. An experienced person may know Java also, may know .NET also, may know Oracle also. So forget about it. Over the time, they have gained a lot of experience. But this is for a fresher only. Okay, now, you are able to hear me? I hope I have not been mute again.
Yeah, we can.
Hello, you are able to hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, Junaid bhai.
Okay, some notification came now, so I thought by my mistake I'm in mute. Okay.
No,
now,
we can hear you.
This is a question. Thank you for confirming. Okay, this is a QA for you. Can you tell me, like, web application was on its verge, like, right? It was a boom. So can you tell me what new innovation brought the next big revolution in IT during the era when web applications were the most popular IT solutions? Can you give a guess? It's a very, very simple answer. I don't know if I framed my questions properly, but can you guess? Like, web application was our limit, right? After web application, everything we used to think in terms of web application. Okay, we have one response. Let me see. Apps. Yeah, you're very close to it. Yes, apps means mobile devices, right? So I guess that is what you mean by that. Yes, that is almost a correct answer. Yeah. Cloud, I'll come to cloud later. But first thing is apps. Cloud was there, but cloud gained its popularity later on. Okay. So next best thing that happened, that changed, that brought about a big revolution was this apps. And why, sorry, apps, I'm saying mobile devices, smartphones, in fact. Okay, so why this became a, this opened up a new scope in IT, brought about a new revolution. The reason is sensors. Because see, to enter a data, what was the mode of taking data for your IT systems and solutions? Keyboard and mouse, that's it, right? and maybe joystick, maybe other barcode, bar scanner. That was all. It was very limited. But with mobile devices, you see how many types of sensors you have. And not only this, again, electronic equipment started coming, like for IoT, which are used in IoT, right? Like footfall sensors, person's head count sensors, right? So that can all transmit data. They can all transmit telemetry data, which you can use in IoT, which you can use in machine learning for predictive analysis, right? So then there was a big boom, okay? So this opened up lots of opportunities, okay? So this I have taken from a website, the reference is given at the bottom. So these are the different sensors, okay? If not all, I have not covered all the sensors, but these are some of the sensors, very important sensors, where your proximity sensors, camera is also kind of sensors, pedometers, which will count your steps, light sensors, thermometer, fingerprint sensors. So you see the scope has, how the scope grew. Like you got lots of input data, right? And now you can play around with this data to get some kind of insights. Now it opened up an opportunity to study the behavior of a person, right? Your behavior of a user, not only IT solution related to some kind of business data that we are using, but also your personal data, right? Okay, now coming back to that slide. Okay, now I was talking about this is almost the same slide, only the difference is I'm talking about mobile app as the client side, right? Because if we talk about mobile app, that is also a client app, just like your browser or your desktop applications, right? So if you're targeting that you want to work on the front end layer and you want to work on mobile application, then I already mentioned you have to work on Java Kotlin. Or if you're targeting Android, again, you cannot be expert in Android and iPhone both. Don't try to do that. Either you pick Android or either you pick iPhone. If you pick Android, you should know Java, and now you should know Kotlin. The issue came up because Oracle has filed a suit against Google because now Java belongs to Oracle because they were re-engineering some APIs, but recently they have lost the case. Google has won the case. So that is why Google was asking its user developers to move to Kotlin. Okay, but it's good if you can learn both Java and Kotlin. And if you want to learn iPhone programming, then learn Objective-C or Swift. But remember, it will not work on Windows system. You need a Mac system for this. And for cross-device, I told you React Native, Xamarin, or Flutter, anything. And there are more. Angular Ionic is also there. There are lots of other. PhoneGap used to be a very old framework, okay, but that was for hybrid application, not cross-platform. So there's a difference when we say hybrid application and cross-platform. So cross-platform, you actually get a compiled code for the native platforms. But in PhoneGap, actually you are using the multiple. Part of it is web application and part of it is the native part. That is why it is called hybrid. Okay, but forget about PhoneGap right now. It's almost obsolete. So what you see in the screen is the actual one to go. So I think it is clear. Either go for Android as a fresher or iPhone. Don't go for both. Don't go for all. And if you want to go for third one, React Native, Xamarin, and Flutter, my suggestion will be then first learn HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and React.js. First learn those libraries, then come to this third part. If you are planning for React Native, Xamarin, and Flutter, okay, fine. And some knowledge of native Android or iPhone will help you, but it is not in scope for you to complete those, to be honest. Yeah. So fine. Okay, let me see some chat window. I see some message coming. Can we learn Swift without having a Mac? Swift you can learn as a programming language. There is an online tool to learn Swift, online compiler. But if you want to, build an app, like you want to compile an app, then you need to have a MacBook. Okay. Even either as a virtual system, I don't know. Mac image is not available as a free virtual system, I think. So if it was Linux, I would have suggested that, okay, go for free images you get for Linux or in VMware. But for Mac, I doubt that they will give you free image for VMware or this. Anyway, you need to pay. So yeah, so you need a MacBook. But Swift as a language, you can learn even on your Windows system. Go to the online compilers. There are lots of compilers. So there you can learn Swift. But Swift as a core Swift is, and Swift for creating an app, there is some difference. Okay. Mac OS based on Unix, that is correct. But still, Unix will be different, Mac OS different. Mac OS has its own sandbox security model that will not allow you to run any app on it. Not even on iPhone you can run unless you are using something like jailbreak. But don't use it, that is illegal. Okay. Fine. On server-side development, as I suggested, if you're going for Java technologies, go for Java Spring or Java Spring, Servlets, Spring Boot, and learn microservices. When I say microservices you can create in Node.js also, in .NET also, in any technology you can create microservices. So learn microservices. Okay, now see, now this is how the structure architecture looks like as of today. See, now enterprise application, now this n-tier architecture has become very, very complicated, very complicated. We used to talk about 2-tier architecture, we used to talk about 3-tier architecture, but now it has evolved to n-tier of architecture. N can be any number. There is no standard. N can be any number. Now you see on front end layer, I've got mobile phone, or I've got browsers, or desktop application, standalone desktop application. This talks to your multiple layers. So it may talk to multiple layers. It may talk to some specific layers depending on type of user, type of business case they are looking for. So you see that n layer, the multiple layers can consist of SMS gateways. Like when you are doing a transactions for your banking applications, you'll get that will use a payment gateway. Sorry, not payment gateway, SMS gateway. First, they are using a gateway for your transaction, SMS gateway. Suppose you are paying for Amazon, if you're buying something. So payment gateway will be used. After that, it will send a message and that it has payment is successful or it is failed. Then SMS gateway will be triggered and you get the SMS. Then there is something called content management system, like all your contents are there it is managed by a content management system. These are all server side applications, a kind of special kind of applications where you keep all your assets, everything. But as a fresher, if you don't know much about it, that is perfectly all right. But I'm giving you a bird's eye view so that you know of these concepts, right? During interview, you can talk about these concepts, but nobody's going to ask you deep down about some kind of CMS or tell me something about the payment gateway integration. Nobody's going to ask you. For a fresher, they will not ask this. Okay. Then we have got, say, IoT sensors sending some telemetric data, right? And we have got data access layer, SMS gateway, payment gateway, as I talked about it. Then backend layer is there. And then you have got media server like in Netflix, as we know that I don't know if you're aware, Netflix is using all the Amazon services, Amazon cloud services, like S3. There's one service called S3 bucket, storage service. There it is putting all its video in chunk. Have you ever realized how Netflix works? Like if you are like pulling some video, how fast it gets downloaded. Okay. And also depending on your device and your internet speed, it will pull those chunk of videos from S3 of Amazon web service. So you see how complicated technology has become, right? So you should do some research on these, right? So on YouTube, you'll find some architecture about Netflix and all these things. You should go through that if you are interested in this domain. Okay. Now coming to roles and responsibilities. After 2 slides, I'll again take questions. Okay. Again, we get very confused when it comes to roles and responsibilities. So many roles and responsibilities, right? And again, this is not an exhaustive list that you see. Okay. You have got business analyst, DevOps engineer, Scrum master, UX designer. Some are technical roles, some are non-technical roles, right? Scrum master may not always have to be technical. A non-technical person who is good in managing, okay, they can be a good Scrum master. Okay. UX designer, okay. Some call you technical, some call you not technical. I'll come to it. Okay, Salesforce developer, RPA. So now where to go for? Again, you get very much, overwhelmed, right? Now, first, let's come to some designations. Now, this is a very, it will vary from organization to organization, but just a generic one I'm providing. Like it can be the roles and responsibilities can be categorized as technical and non-technical. Like you can be a UI developer. Now, if you go for a data scientist, your role will be different. Equivalent role you'll get. So UI developer, mobile app developer, you can be UX designer, graphic designer. So you see the color codes, right? So UI developer, mobile developer will fall into it can fall into one single kind of business unit. Okay. UX designer, graphic designer, and visual designers, they are yellow colored. So they can fall into one kind of business unit. If I'm talking about big MNC, for a small company, it doesn't matter. There's no hierarchy as such, or there's no kind of segregations or categorizations. Then Java or .NET or C# developers, depending on that, then QA person. On the non-technical side, we have business analyst, okay, person who analyzes the business, and they are an interface between, I'll talk about it. We have one slide on business analyst. Then project management, person who manages the project. But as a fresher, you may not get this role as a business analyst or project management. You need some experience before you move into this role. Scrum Master, Marketing Pre-Sales, it is a very higher role now. Content Writer, if you are good in English writing, and if you can write good story based on some requirement, then this is your place to be. I know many people who are good, they are good engineers, they were BTechs and even MTechs. Later on, they went on to become very good content writer and they flourished a lot. So at some point of time, if you feel you're very good in writing, your English skill is good, writing skill is good, then content writer you can try. And then instructional designer, like instruction design is more like a content writer, but they generally make manuals and all these things, like how the flow of an application will be. But nowadays I see very less requirement for instructional designer. I think that this has got merged with some other roles actually. Okay, now again, this is not this is just a very generic kind, and it is not necessary that any organization or every organization needs to have this kind of hierarchy. So just a generic one I'm giving. So starting from program analyst, you see a pyramid like a staircase like structure is there. You can climb the staircase, and as you climb, it is a pyramid. In fact, the scope gets lower and lower. Scope means requirements are like there are less number of head counts actually. So programmer or analyst is the role for beginner, fresher. Sometimes analyst is a higher role in some organization, but in some organization, okay, analyst is the freshers, programmer, analyst, then senior developer or lead, then architect, senior architect. So left hand side is your technical roles. Right hand side is non-technical. So right up to the CTO. Okay. Now you see that I have mentioned one arrow with role switch. There is also possibility of role switch. At some point of time, many people do. They do not want to stay in technical role, and they want to switch to non-technical and managerial role, a different type of leadership role. So that is possible from technical to non-technical, but vice versa is not possible. Like somebody who is a program manager cannot become a principal architect. Okay. So, but somebody who is a principal architect can move to program manager depending on the approvals or the current status at that point of time in his or her organization, right? So this is how it works. But again, it will vary from organization to organization. So hope this makes sense. Okay. Okay, so this slide, I think this is clear, this slide. So now again, I'm talking about what are the different roles you can get when you join as a fresher. If you are a UI developer, I already mentioned this, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, either Angular or React or Vue.js is also fine. But my suggestion will be either Angular or React. Okay, learn Node.js, though Node.js not purely for UI development, but it helps. There are lots of components it has. Okay, and for UX developer, now what is UX developer? I'll tell you. So mobile developer, you already know, graphic designer and UX developer. Now there is also a role for graphic designer. So if you are good in creativity, right? If you can do a good visual design, which color suits best on which. So for a website, you have to make a very good visual, visual design for a website. Then this is the, if you have got a good eye to colors, combinations and designs, then you can be a good graphic designer. Then for that, Photoshop, Illustrator or CorelDRAW, you can learn Photoshop and Illustrator or CorelDRAW, but Photoshop you should learn. Any other wireframe designer, any other graphics and animation tools. Okay. And for UX designer, I don't know if like you are aware what UX is. I'll come to it. For UX, you need only HTML5, CS3, or if you want, you can leave it out. But you need to know Adobe Photoshop, Adobe XD or Visio, or any kind of wireframe designer. So I'll come to UX design. Okay. So now let me see if we have any. I see something in chat. So just let me try to. Yeah. Okay. So there are some questions in the chat. Sir, can expand on SAP? Okay, I'll come to it. SAP is still in demand. It will always be in demand. SAP is very, very much in demand. Okay, so yeah, but as a fresher, you'll have some challenges in entering into SAP. My suggestion would be, but I'm not discouraging you. You can still go ahead with SAP if you are lucky enough. And if you get into a company and they can train you in SAP, it happens at times. Many people as an entry level, they have got an opportunity to get trained in SAP. So yeah, you can go for it, but there will be challenges as a fresher. Not everywhere you'll get the opportunity for SAP. How much can both technical and non-technical roles differ? So actually, I'm not getting this question. How much can both technical and non-technical roles differ? So if you can elaborate a bit on that, then maybe I can answer on this. Okay, and it is using okay, sorry. Hackintosh used to run Mac on none. Okay, you are talking about Hackintosh. Yes, Hackintosh you can use. Again, I'll say, like officially I am saying it is not legal. Now it's your call. If you want to, for practice purpose, you want to use Hackintosh, and Hackintosh can even harm your system also. You have to be very careful. Okay, so at times, yes, Hackintosh you can run on Windows, because if you don't have Mac OS, I know it is very costly. Mac system is very costly, so you can run Hackintosh, and there you can, but it will be very slow. Remember, it is very, very slow. If you try to compile some iOS application, it will be very slow.
So just as a question, if you are focusing on the Indian ecosystem, and it is quite possible that most students don't have Macs, and maybe even most colleges don't have Macs.
You're right.
So if you were to give advice in terms of mobile app development, I guess you would say Android would be the place to focus on for freshers.
Yes, that's a very valid question. In fact, yes, Android would be the better option to focus, but actually you are forced to focus on Android actually. Because there are many people, like even when I started my, my aspiration for mobile app developer, I also faced the challenge at that time. I didn't have MacBook, but by the grace of Almighty, now I have. So I was forced to go for Android actually in the beginning. But one thing can be done, like what we planned, that a few of us aspirants got together with Dutch and got one MacBook. Okay. And then we can in turn actually share the MacBook. And this worked actually. So even the student who are like aspiring for iPhone development, they can have this kind of Dutch system. They can share, and they can take one second-hand Mac in a good running system. And they can, most of us had done this earlier actually. So this is also one of the options. Why I'm saying is, like, yes, that is correct. Like for Indian ecosystem, that is why you find many Android developer here, but very less Apple developer even today. I mean iOS developer. This is the main reason. This is one of the reason. Another reason is App Store is very costly. You have to pay annually a good amount of fee. But for Android, Google only charges you one time. How much dollar exactly afforded, which comes to 2 point something INR. That is a lifetime membership you have for Play Store. And that also encourages many developers to learn Android, and they are placing their app on the app stores. And, so that is the reason why we have many Android developers in India.
So again, Junaid, then, just to sort of take this to its logical conclusion, I'm just wondering, because there are many Android developers, there is also obviously more competition. So if you were to stand out, one possibility is to somehow develop expertise in the Mac ecosystem. But then for that to happen, there has to be demand for it. So is there demand for something like that?
Yeah, if I got your question correct. So you're talking about the demands of iOS applications in India?
Yeah.
Yes,
or like
there are
iOS
lots of demands, and those demands. Yes.
Developers.
Yes. There are in fact a lot of demands, but fulfillment is very rare, because there's always a shortage, and ultimately the client moves back to US location. They find some developer from US, because they first approach the Indian developers, because their cost is much lower compared to US, of course. And when they are not able to get the developer at that level, then they move back to some developers from US or different regions. So this happens actually. I've seen it happening. So yeah, that's how it is.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, I think just to add to the conversation, most product companies, they serve the world market. So if you join a product company, you're going to get access to emulators, to Macs, to all the tools that you need to develop both on Android and iOS, depending on where they want to host. So I would not get too hung up unless you are trying to start your own business and write your own apps. That's a different story. But if you're going to go and work for a company, they'll provide you with all the resources. And, iOS is a very important platform worldwide. And you will get the training and all of that. So it's not, it's too early to obsess over that. If you're just looking for a job, you learn, you'll get access to resources for learning to write apps on both the platforms, I guess is the concept.
Yeah, thanks for that additional point. So yeah, so I think that makes sense to our mentees as well, so they can plan if they are an aspirant for iOS. So that would be very helpful for them. Okay. So now moving forward. Okay, now we come to UX design. This is one of the most unexplored design by many people I have seen, or many people actually, they do realize later on what UX is. But in the beginning, I've seen like many of the freshers, like they mix UI with UX initially. But UX itself is a very, very, very happening field and a very important field. But I do understand that not in every project you require a UX designer. That is also true at the same time. But UX plays a very important role in big projects, or especially even in product companies. They focus very much on UX, like companies like Google or Facebook. So UX matters a lot for them. Okay, so many people have got very good aptitude for UX, but later on they come to realize, or they don't explore it at all. Like it is more about user experience. Like if I give you a story, like a requirement, sometimes called a story also in IT scenario. They give you a story. Okay, a user comes and says, I want to make an application where I should sell my item. That's it. The client cannot give you so much detail. Okay, now we have to find out, we have to break it into small details. Okay, that means the story will goes like this. So this will be an epic. This will be, say, I called it an epic. And that epic, we can subtask into stories. Okay, so I will make one story a login page. Okay, if it is a user, first the user has to log in to get access to the application. Then next comes user will select his geographies and this thing, that is the configuration of the user. Okay, then after that there will be a search page for the user. Okay, depending on his geography, what is available, he will have a search page. So you see where we are going to, like user just gave us one high level requirement and we are now breaking it into story. Okay, and that story we can present is a wireframe. Sometimes even on a paper, you can sketch it out and you can see on the diagram, there is a wireframe given. Small icons are there on the top right. Okay, and then it shows you the screen design for the next screen. So that doesn't need to be fleshed out into a proper visual look. That is not required. So initially when you're doing the brainstorming, so this is the thing. Okay, so the user will first click on these icons. He'll go to this. He will configure the user login, and first he will give the password credentials. He'll log in, search for the product, then filter out the products and so on. Then he will also have the option of sharing it with somebody on WhatsApp or Facebook. So these are all. So one Facebook icon should be there. So this is what a UX designer does. And it's a very important role actually. And there are lots of people with engineering background who are into UX design, and they are very good UX designers. Okay. In Google, like there's one documentary on Netflix, though I'm not endorsing you to see movies or documentaries. So just a disclaimer, called Social Dilemma. Okay. There it has shown the dark side of, of Google and Facebook, and like how they have studied human behavior and how they have manipulated the UX to study your behavior. Okay. So like, for example, if you come to WhatsApp, I don't know how many of you have observed, like I'll come to one QA round also, very interesting one. So how many of you have observed that in WhatsApp, initially when you had this Yahoo Chat Messenger, I think the new generation may not have even seen the interface of it. But in our time, I remember we had Yahoo Chat Messenger, and if first somebody used to send us a chat message, fine. First email communication was there. That was a passive communication. Somebody sends you, and when you open your mail, then you see it. Then came Yahoo Chat Messenger, live chat you can do. Okay. Then came our option of typing. Somebody's typing. That status comes in the bottom or top. Okay. Then after that, there was the next level. If you see that documentary, the ex-Google engineer, he is mentioning that why this, have you noticed the ellipsis animation going on when you're typing? Like 3 dots, they are animating while a person is typing. So we just see it, okay, just another effect, that's all. But that played a very important psychology role, because UX is not only about design. There is a certification for that given by HFI, Human Factor Institute. You need to know psychology, human behavior. Okay, behavior of person from one geography will differ a person from other geography. An Arabian will have a different way of seeing things. An American will have a different way of seeing certain things. Some kind of colors may not be suitable for one. I remember that once I was giving a demo to one of my US client. So he just said, okay, this blue looks good, but it would have been better if, some other color was there, but it looks good. So that time I was new. So I thought he's giving approval that it looks good. Next day he blasted at me. Why didn't you change it? So I said, I thought you said it looks good, but then I realized that is their way of communicating, right? So anyway, so this 3 ellipses animation will keep the user more engaged, because they take data from you, they study users' behavior. The more they keep you engaged on the screen or the device, the more data they can fetch. What was your screen time? okay, words. So that is why when somebody is typing, message comes, okay, people saw that, okay, somebody is typing. But they said that we did a research, and when we gave this ellipsis animation, user, like their psychology worked out in this way, okay, somebody is typing, and they are like, okay, let me see what message is coming. Just due to that ellipsis animation, this made so much of difference. So you understand? Like a minute thing we see in the UX, we think, okay, just an icon, just an effect, but no, they have done lots of research on this, on the human behavior. And then this icon, the color of the icon, like you must heard about accessibility. Accessibility, like in UX, in US, there's a, I think 501, some accessibility guidelines, which you have to comply with. Means if you are making some website, it has to be accessible even by physically challenged people, like who are like, whose vision is not clear. So you have to give some sharp colors or sharp text. Otherwise, you know, you are not complying with that protocol. So that is why UX is very, very much important. Now, to the mentees, I'm coming with one question. Okay. So you see this on the screen, right? There's a simple sample of a website. There's a left navigation pane. You have got breadcrumb. That is called breadcrumb. Like there's a technical terms in the world of UX and UI. Breadcrumb, carousels, those images coming, rolling over. Okay. So you see there's a breadcrumb which will give a trail on which page you are. Like right now in the page called English content. I clicked on localization. If you see the top part, I clicked on style guide. I clicked on layout. Then I clicked on English content, right? And then I see this content, right? Now I have to localize this content. Localize means make this content compatible with different language also. Suppose I make it into Arabic. This is it. Now I will stop over here. Now QA, paste in the chat, what is the issue you observe with this website after localization to Arabic language? So please go ahead. Or if you want to speak, you can unmute and speak also. That will also be better. Anyone can give me the answer? What is the issue you see with this website? It's the same. All the designs are same, right? Only I've changed the language. And one disclaimer, the language may not be, I've just done Google Translate. So please don't go on that. Exact translation may not be correct. So ignore that issue. Any other issue you see in addition to that? Okay, has somebody pasted anything on chat? Let me see. Yes, correct. Excellent. Very good. So you have given a very correct answer. I highly appreciate that. Mashallah, the students are very bright. Okay. So now let me go to the next slide. This is the correct one. So you have to move from, to put this on the right, because Arabic is written from right to left, right? Even breadcrumb also you have to move in that direction, correct? So imagine the importance of a UX design. So you have to keep an eye for the UX, right? So some people will miss it. They will just think, okay, this is done. I've just localized the language and it's done. Okay. Fine. Okay. Now, as I mentioned, content writer, instructional designer, it is like, or you can write a website content, you can do copy editing, you can write blog and article writing, you can do research work, okay, for branding and other stuffs. So this is also one of the role, as I mentioned, of content writer or instructional designer. Okay, so now coming to
Junaid sir, just to highlight, keeping the time in mind, we are at around 1.5 hours into the talk. So I don't know how much else you have planned and whether you want to take questions or how you want to go ahead.
Yeah, actually, yes. Actually, I've updated few more slides. So I think that is why there is some time overflow than the scheduled time we have set. So there are lots more slides, in fact, to be honest. And that is why I plan to take questions in between only. There is no question at the end of the session. So just want to ask you how much more time I have. So I think we can try to cover that much as only.
We don't have to cover everything that you had in mind. You may want to focus on things that you think are very important for the freshers.
Okay. I may be skipping some slides. Sure. And later on, if required, we can again have the sessions later on, inshallah, and then we can cover the rest also. Yeah.
Sure.
Okay. Fine. So coming to business analyst, so it is just about interfacing between business. Like developers may not understand the business scenario correctly. Okay. They will only understand where to take data, where to place it. Okay. And a business user may not understand technically what will be the challenges. They only know the requirement. So business user comes into play. So business user, a person who understands part of technology, and they also understand what the business is about. So they need to talk to the business users, they need to interview the business users, and then try to frame it and try to frame the informations in a way that they can communicate to the developer, which is understood by the technical team. So this is what a business analyst does. Okay, so there was a question, since we are running out of time, but still I would like you that why did WhatsApp become so popular when there were already other chat and audio or video call applications available? So any guesses? We already had, we had G-Talk, we had some chat messengers, which already had the option of chat and all this thing. So can you guess why WhatsApp became so popular? Any guess? Okay, I got a response. I'll quickly take that response. UI was very intuitive. Phone number chatting, yes. Partially, you both are correct. UI was very intuitive. In fact, UI was very simple, because at times what happens was you get overwhelmed, right? If you give so much functionality, see, a good product is the one not involving very complicated code. That doesn't matter to end user. End user matters what is the ease of the using the product, how much impact the product can have. Even if it is a few lines of code and your product is very user friendly and usable, that will be more successful. Okay, so remember this thing. Whenever you're thinking of some solution, don't think I've learned Java components or some other components, where I can put that and client will, praise it or it will become a hit. No, you always have to think in terms of solutions. What is the problem faced in the ecosystem and what is the solution you can have? It doesn't matter even if writing only 50 lines of code, you are solving it. That will sell like hotcake, right? So WhatsApp made it very simple, because lots of things were like, lots of chat applications had lots of features, and in small screen, you are placing so many features, you are overwhelming the user. So many users found it like very difficult. And WhatsApp, and they had to register also and lots of things. WhatsApp gave you the option, okay, your phone number is globally unique. So you have the phone number as your ID. So just log in, just install the WhatsApp and start using it. And very, lightweight features were there at that point of time. So that was the reason. That means the point I want to make is a good UX. This is an example of good UX. Okay. So that was it. So that was a good answer. Okay. Okay, fine. I'll be skipping this. I already talked about it. Okay. Design patterns, fine. I'll just go to a few more slides. I'll just go to 2-3 slides more, which I think is important for now, and rest we can skip. Design patterns, so we already know, and Najib Saab had already mentioned you some important design patterns as well in the slide. So if you have followed that, so you may understand what I'm talking about. So we know that there are lots of design patterns. Now, as a fresher, you cannot learn all the design patterns in one go. So an interviewer just wants to see some of the basic design patterns you know of. So what I have done is like, see, I have categorized as A, B, and C, right? There are different types of design patterns: creational, structural, behavioral. What you do, you try to learn 2 from each. Okay, so that will help you in the interview. You can tell them that, okay, I know one from some of this design pattern, some from this, some from this. That will help you actually. Like singleton is the most easiest. So learn singleton, learn factory. From structural, you learn some other like facet design pattern or bridge decorated design pattern. From behavioral, learn 1 or 2. That's it. You don't need to, memorize all until you are preparing something for Google. Okay. And there are other design pattern also, but anyway, these all you'll find on the net, so I'll not go to it. And algorithms also, like if you can focus on these algorithms, if you are planning for Google or Facebook, string manipulation, search and sort algorithms like BFS and DFS, big O complexity analysis, recursions, memoizations. Okay. Now, I'll just talk about this slide, and I think we can wrap up. Though I have got lots of other slides also, but seeing the limitation of time. So FANG, let's talk, see, FANG organization, we know what it is. It is a group of, or their organization, which we call as a FANG organization, like Facebook, Apple. Sometimes only one A is there. Sometimes they don't include Apple, but Facebook, Amazon, Netflix, and Google is always there. Sometimes we include Apple also, right? So if you are aspiring for FANG companies, then there's some methodology you have to follow. Okay, so let me take one example of Google. Okay, so I'll take one example of Google. So if you are preparing for Google, first thing is there are few sites. One is lead code. So try to register for site. You have got free version also, you got paid version also. First go for free version. There in Lead Code is a very helpful site. You have all that, you can practice all your knowledge of data structure and algorithm, and you can even sort it with difficulty level. And even according, if you're a paid member, you can even sort it according to companies also. Like if you've got a call in the company from Google, you can go to Google site after say having 2 years or 3 years of experience. You can just go there and apply it, keep applying, make a good resume. Okay, that will attract you, you know, because you should have the resume is the first thing, important thing, right? That should catch the attention. So first go to Lead Code, practice from there. And Lead Code has got its own compiler, everything. You can choose any language of your choice out of Java or C++ and JavaScript and Python or Go. And then you just write your code and just submit the code. Then and there it will tell you like what is the complexity of your code. The complexity analysis, it will give you the idea of time complexity and space complexity both. Okay, and you can even see the solution also if you're a paid member. So Lead Code is one. You have got HackerRank. So HackerRank is another important website. And another important website is Geek for Geeks. These are actually found by ex-engineers of Google, I think. I'm not very sure about it, but yes, this is what I know of, a little bit of info. So these 3 sites are very important, and there are multiple other sites like AlgoDS, and they have their tutorials, but I'm not recommending condensing anyone, but Lead Code, HackerRank, and Geek for Geek is the site you should always visit if you are aspiring for any product company like Google or Facebook, any FANG company, in fact. Now, the interview process of Google is the last thing I'll talk about. So first step would be after getting an interview call, you first, before preparing for the interview, going for applying for it, master at least one of the following programming or scripting language, because Google will give you a choice. No matter, it will not see your CV also regarding which programming language you are good at. You are free to choose. You can choose C++, Java, Python, JavaScript, or Golang. Practice writing code on a plain document without IDE. Okay, they will not allow you to write on Eclipse or anything. They can check whether your syntax is correct or not. Okay, try to solve as many medium and hard problems from Lead Code. Start with easy problem, but switch to medium and hard problems. At least try to solve 2-3 hard problems per day, or 5-6 medium problems per day. So that would help you. Okay, and try to solve one problem within 20 minutes, because they give you 45 minutes time in the first round. And 22 questions they will give you. 5 minutes they will give you for your introductions. In fact, if you keep it within 5 minutes range, so 45 minutes. So prepare it this way and speak aloud your thoughts process while solving the problem. Do some mock interview with some of your colleagues. Okay, and while you're solving the problem, because they will be on remote, okay, or they don't know what you have in your mind. So you have to communicate your thought process to them while you're solving this. So practice this. Now, first round, they have the pre-screen with Google employee, coding question for 45 minutes, clarify the question before jumping into coding, keep communicating your thought process, code without any error. This is a requirement. Try not to have any error. So that is why I tell you, if you're applying for Google, if you got a call, try to write it in Notepad, pure Notepad, and try to compile it then. Okay, so that habit you should have. They will not allow you any ID. Write unit test cases especially. This will impress them. Many people don't write unit test case. Okay, and especially for boundary condition, you should write unit test case. Okay, sometimes we write for happy path case, right? So then you have next round. If you qualify this round, you have got on-site interview, right? You will be interviewed by 4 to 6 Google employees in multiple rounds, generally for 45 minutes each. And this process may change over time. So just as of now, whatever knowledge I had in my last interaction, so that is what I'm mentioning. So with Google. So then you'll again be asked DS and A coding questions, the data structure. This time will be more in depth. For first round, you only prepare string manipulations and all these stuffs, right? Okay. For after that, there will also be behavioral interview question where they will check whether the candidate, how the candidate reacts under pressure. Is the candidate reliable to work as a team? Means your ethics. Like if you know already the answer from before, you can tell them that I already know it from before. So they see your ethics and all these things. Will the candidate treat their peers with respect and many more? Okay. And final thing, this is a very odd thing actually for some people. They find it very odd. Even after clearing this round, sometimes you have to wait for the offer from Google because you have to match some team. So sometimes people have been waiting and waiting and they are not getting offer. Sometimes people are getting offer. So offer or no offer depends on the final rating you have. And if some project manager is ready to take in your team after seeing your profile, right? And these are the some important books you can refer: Cracking the Code Interview, Elements of Interviews in Java, and Elements of Programming Interviews. Okay, fine. So there are lots more slides, Professor Ansari. So if you want, we can stop over here, and maybe in the next session, inshallah, we'll plan a continued session, and I can go through the other slides as well. So will that be fine?
Sorry, can you just?
Or do I have some more time?
So I don't know. How much time do you think you would need? I have no idea.
I think if you go for all slides, still I will consume half an hour more.
No,
but
no,
that is
I
fine.
think that would be too much.
Yeah, I remember. Because my fault actually, because I actually had updated some few slides which I found in the last month to be important. So that is why I have run out of what I had estimated.
I know this is very valuable, and I think I'm sure the students are thankful to you about this. Very valuable.
My pleasure, always my pleasure.
Sajjad, what do you suggest?
No, indeed, yeah, it must be very overwhelming for students to hear such a big landscape. And I just want to make 2 points, if I may, Professor Ansari, or we should wait.
Please, go ahead. Please.
Okay. All right. So, as some of you know, I am in the HR department, and in HR, I am in the learning and development. And don't worry about what you have seen in terms of so many different roles and all that, because every organization kinds of clubs these different roles into role families. And then on top of it, there is a professional communities that get formed. The nomenclature used by different companies is different. And in terms of picking up skills or the technology bit, let me tell you, is for larger organizations, there are crores and crores of money available to invest in the development of the employees. And there is a talent war that is going on, especially for experienced people today. If you speak to anybody in IT organization, every experienced person who is looking out for a job in the market is having at least 3 or 4 offers in hand. And they are negotiating with the companies for a better package or a better designation and stuff like that. So the companies have realized that we need to invest in people, and especially in the learning. So as a fresher, as Motasim Saab was saying, conceptually, if you are there, it's enough. You don't have to go after picking up everything that is available to kind of differentiate yourself from others. Because once you join an organization, you will go through the first basic training, and how you do in that training, you will be sent into different business units and requirements. So don't worry about picking each and every skill right now. You have a lot of time. That's all I have to say.
Yes, Sajjad, a very, very valid point. And that is what actually I was pointing to, that you have got plethora of technologies, but you don't need to get overwhelmed. So that is a very, very important point, especially for the freshers. Thank you. Thank you, Sajjad, for this insight.
Motasim Saab, do you have,
No, I think, I agree with Sajjad. What the presentation has given is the whole spectrum of things that are available. But what Junaid is not saying that you need to know every bit of this. And so it is really important to absorb that this is a very large landscape, but at the same time, be focused, focus on one language, focus on, what you would like to be based on your aspiration and your interest, front end, back end. You don't need to be everything at the same time. So as a fresher, go with an open mind, and as you develop experience, you will specialize into these roles. So that's the only point I want to make.
Yes.
Junaid, yes.
Yeah. Thank you. That was very valuable inputs, and that is what students really need to keep in mind. That so you have to see like where you need to focus, which area you need to focus. You don't need to get overwhelmed by so many technologies and tools. So this presentation, intent of this presentation was that only to give you an overview of how many technologies. There are a plethora of technologies, but you need to focus on a set of technologies as a fresher. So that's the strategy you need to check upon.
Junaid, so there is a request for sharing the PDF, so we should try to make this available to them, because it is rare to find all of this stuff in one particular presentation. So I think we will definitely try to make this available to them.
Sure, I'll share it. And yeah, can I have 5 more minutes or 10 minutes? Just want to go through the last 2 slides, I think. So is it okay if I go for?
Yeah, please go ahead. Yes.
Thank you. Okay, yeah, and definitely I'll share it. I'll share it with everyone. I'll share it with Professor Saab and or the team, the mentees, and they can share with. I think we can put it somewhere and we can.
Yeah, we have a group of WhatsApp group, so we can share it.
Oh yeah, fine. That will really be great. Okay, so let me just jump to the last. Oh, sorry.
So again, we have to go to the display settings.
Yeah, I don't know somehow, and I'm sorry, I don't use Zoom that much, so.
No, there's no problem at all. It's just a simple change. So display settings में आप change कर लीजिए.
Yeah, sure. I'm doing that. Okay. Yeah. So quickly, let me. So one more thing I wanted to just mention was like when you enter into any organization, be it product or services, the task that you get, most of the time it falls into these categories. Either they are development from scratch, but this development starts only this is mostly in product companies. In service companies, you'll rarely get this opportunity to develop from scratch. So don't get like many freshers, they get very much annoyed by this. Like, okay, this code is already done. So you have to go with this mindset that you'll get some kind of legacy applications and you have to build on top of it, or some kind of development is already done. So please have this kind of mindset whenever you join an organization, especially if you're joining any service-based organization. So only in product company, you may get a chance to develop from scratch, but not always. Because many fresh engineers, they complain about this, why we are not doing development from scratch. So try to understand the business scenario. Okay. Then migration of legacy applications. Sometimes you need to migrate something is developed in say pure JavaScript, you have to migrate to Angular. Then feature enhancement, some new feature only you're adding on top of it. Okay, some new features. Then you are in support where you raise tickets, you give the supports, some ticket is raised. And there is something called POC and prototyping, like you have to try out some feature. You don't know whether this feature is feasible or not. That is called POC or proof of concept and prototyping. Okay. So these are the type of tasks you generally encounter. So don't expect that you'll go and you'll start getting some kind of requirement, will start working from scratch. No. And sometimes you get a problem which you think you get irritated that, okay, what kind of crazy problem is this, right? I've seen this happening, especially with our fresh engineers. They say, okay, client is saying this problem, but this sounds weird. So for that, I only want to take you to next slide, which I think many of you must be aware of, a very famous story about vanilla ice cream in the car, right? So there was once a car, okay, that was sold, okay. And the customer complained that there is an issue, and it was a very weird complaint. Like they said that whenever I go to buy a vanilla ice cream on this car, and I stop my car and then I come back, I start my car, it doesn't start. But if I buy some other flavor, then my car starts. Now the person who received this complaint, he got crazy, like what kind of weird complaint is this? And the customer was very decent, like very well educated. So they thought, again, the complaint kept on coming. First they ignored it. They say, okay, please check it again. Is it due to the vanilla ice cream? How can you correlate it with this? But again, it came. So they sent one engineer. Okay. So the engineer went, and even the engineer was not feeling happy about it, that this is such a weird problem. Okay. The customer is, I don't know, like what kind of weird issue they are saying. How is vanilla ice cream related with a car? So what he did that, okay, let me try to find the root cause of the issue. So he first went with the owner of the car. He drove to the ice cream parlor, took a vanilla ice cream, and came back and saw, yes, the car did not start. So another day he drove off again. He came, the engineer drove off again. So he started taking logs of what time he drove off, what was the time of that day, okay, what is the distance when the car moves to the ice cream parlor, and so on. So he saw that when they are taking some different flavor, then the car starts. So now he says, yes, this is true. The observation is true, what the customer was reporting. But still, as an engineer, he was not ready to believe how it is related. So then he said, there has to be some kind of root cause, right? So he started seeing that, okay, what is the difference? First, he started analyzing the ice cream. When he buys vanilla ice cream, it takes him very less time because it is just on the front counter. Just take it and go. But when he buys some other ice cream, it consumes a lot of time. So time is the factor. So now he can correlate it. So he forget about ice cream now he comes with time. Now he sees what is the issue with the car related to time? How is it related? Then observe that that time there was a fuel injection system, and due to this vapor lock, okay, the car when stopped, until the engine doesn't cools down, it will not start again. So it takes some time for the engine to cool down, right? So the car, when you buy a vanilla ice cream, it takes very less time. So the engine is still heated and the car won't start. But if you take any other flavor, it takes some time. And so it gives enough time for the engine to cool down. And so the car starts. Hence, this issue was resolved. So this is even taught in some management lessons also. Like at times we get it in every aspects of, whatever field we are in, some kind of weird problem in this thing. So you have to have a attitude towards solving that problem. So that was all. So thank you. Yeah, Professor Ansari.
Thank you very much, Junaid Saab. That was very, very insightful and informative. I think we are almost at the end of
Asim.
the.
I'm sure Mr. Junaid will have an office, open office session too.
Yeah, Junaid Saab, so what we are suggesting is that one possibility would be for you to sort of just be available on one particular day, and students who have questions could just come and ask you questions about the industry, about all these technologies and how to prepare. So if that would be the case, then we would not need a formal presentation, but just you being available there on one particular day, on one particular time, just like an open office hour session. We could probably even get some more people from the mentor network to join. Would you be interested in something like that?
Yes, I'll be more glad to do so, Professor Ansari. I'll be more than happy to do that. So you can let me know, like when are you planning that? I'm always in for it.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it a lot. Motasim Saab, if you want to have the last word.
No, I think we should close now. It's getting very late, Asim.
Thank you very much once again. It was our pleasure to listen to. So the students are also very, very thankful for this very informative session. So inshallah, we'll have other opportunities to also hear from you, and the students will benefit from your vast experience and knowledge. So with that, I think we will.
Thank you everyone for your valuable time and listening to me. And really, I misestimated because I added some more infos actually in the end. So that is why my estimation was underestimated my slides actually, the time frame. So inshallah, we'll take care of it in the session that you are planning for. So yeah, and thanks for everyone for your valuable time. Yeah.
Thank you very much once again.